Mini ITX, mini DTX. This is it, the best one right here. Done. That's all you need to know. You want to know more? All right, well, the first line of marketing on their page says it's like the perfect balance between size and customization or something to that effect, and that's pretty much what you have here. Let's go ahead and go through the size and the weight first, because this is an aluminum case and it's really sleek, as you can see. Just one bent piece of aluminum going across the top and then one on the bottom. And then you can open up the side panels completely without any tools, just by pulling. There are some rubber sort of stoppers on the bottom. You just pop those off, and the side panels are very easy to remove. You can take this thing completely apart if you want to use some, well, they're hex screws, but take those out of the back and you can break it down so that it's just a frame sitting there on your desk, and that's going to be really, really handy when it comes to modding. But first, let's talk about the actual size and the weight. This is a little bit larger than most mini ITX or mini DTX cases out on the market right now. Kind of reminds me of the old Prodigy case, except a lot sleeker and a lot more customizable. This is 340 by 286 by 180 millimeters, and it only weighs 3.9 kilograms. Without the side panels, it feels like it weighs like almost nothing. It's crazy, but that's what you get when you're working with aluminum. So let's talk about what's so interesting with this case. When you open up the inside, you'll notice that it's a large empty area, and we just have options, right? So the principle of this case is that everything can be moved to any place you like. And as you can see right here on the front, all the screw holes where these brackets are mounted are actually, they're these rails. So these rails can be moved anywhere you like. You can build with it just as it is in the standard spot, right? So you have the power plug going to the back here, and then the power supply can actually hang in the front. Now get this, it'll support an SFX power supply, but it'll also support an ATX power supply if you're only using a 220 millimeter PCI Express card. So if you're using a smaller graphics card, like a mini or something like that, you can put a full-size ATX in here. But I think a lot of you guys are going to go for like a big graphics card because there's a lot of room in here. So you can just do that and use an SFX power supply. Now the PCI slot, we have two ports down here on the bottom. It's a dual port, but most graphics cards are dual slots, so one of those is going to work just fine. However, if you're using a mini DTX board, you can use two single slot cards in there, and that could be cool if you wanted to do some water cooling and also have an extra expansion slot. There's room enough in here to do a complete custom loop with a res. So we'll show you that in just a second. But first off, it'll support a 330 by 150 by 50 millimeter graphics card or any other PC Express expansion card in here. So here's the cool thing about this. It's really modular, and you can, if you need more rails to do more things, like if you wanted to do reservoirs and stuff like that, you can buy an extra set of rails. This is two rails. They're just taped together so they don't bump around. But you can get two extra rails and mount those in here. Let me show you how the rails work. So you can see that we have all these rails everywhere, and there's actually an extra rail in the box, so you can move that wherever you like. You can unscrew those and really screw those in on either side you want to. You can even rotate the motherboard if you wanted to have a different configuration, or if there's some reason that your RAM's getting in the way, or you wanted to do something special with water cooling. You can rotate the motherboard. You can move the motherboard into different spots of the case. So there's a lot of options there. You can do 3.5 inch drives, or you can do 6 2.5 inch drives. Plus you can do M.2 depending on your motherboard, of course. Now, as far as CPU cooling goes, you can fit a 145 millimeter tower cooler on there. Not the biggest tower cooler, but get this. You can fit up to a 280 millimeter radiator right inside here, right on top here. I mean, you can get creative and probably mount it on the bottom to move some things around, but you can get creative and mount things in all kinds of different spots. But 280 all the way down to a 120 is going to work just fine in here. Now, I mentioned you should be able to mount like a reservoir or something. You can put your motherboard or whatever in one spot. You've got some extra room here. Go ahead and put those rails in there and just screw your reservoir and pump combo right there, and you'll be totally fine. If you want to use some bendable tubes, that'll work. I mean, I guess if you wanted to do the hard tubing, you could do that as well. And like I said, I expect to see this showing up all over the place when it comes to different mod shows and stuff like that. All right, so I mentioned what you can fit on the top and the bottom. There's a lot of different vents on this thing. So pretty much everywhere that you could expect air to come into the case, there is a dust filter. There's one on the side panels. It's magnetic that you can put on there. The side panels are actually nice and sturdy. They're thick aluminum, so they're not going to bend and flex. When I was pulling them off, you had to put quite a bit of force into like popping them off. So don't be afraid when you're pulling them from the bottom. Just brace your case and give them a good pull, but it's not going to bend or anything like that. And then you have your dust filter that'll magnetize. It's magnetic, so it'll just stick on the inside there. And now on the top and the bottom, we have some filtered areas. And, there's some spots where you can mount your fans and stuff. 120, you can do the 140s if you like. It'll support up to a 180 millimeter fan. In the rear, you can only do a 92 millimeter fan back here. So if you wanted to put an exhaust back there, 92 millimeters is going to be your limit. So get this, if you're planning a build, maybe you're using some 140 millimeter fans on top, doing a 280 or something, and you want more airflow on the top, well, you can get these and they'll go on top. This just gives you larger openings so that you can move more air through this case. So that's an option. It's all about all the different options that you have with this case. When you get that, it comes with these rubber grommetized fan holder thing, you know, these things. So it's pretty much silent. It's just going to be a nice quiet case if you put good fans in there, but I doubt there's going to be any rattle or anything like that. Also, so the front panel here, right, where the power button is, on the inside, we've got some options because the button and also the USB port, they're just screwed on there from the back so that in the front they look all nice and sleek. Now on the inside now we have a USB 3 header for your motherboards. If you have a motherboard that has a USB 3.1 header, well, they've included a cable for that. So all you have to do is just swap out the little USB, they're both going to be Type-C on the front, but all you have to do is just swap out with 2 screws on the inside. Swap out one, put the other one on there, and now you have USB 3.1 with Type-C in the front. So I haven't done a build in this yet because I'm waiting to get a different ITX motherboard and CPU combo, maybe one of the new AMDs that's coming out. Those look really nice, the Ryzen 3s. I might put one of those in there and then see how big of a graphics card I can get in here and just make a really nice LAN system. But this thing is so modular and so nice that it might be cool to go all out and do like a water cooling build right inside this tiny thing. So it's all going to depend on whether or not I have time, you know, because I'm working on the game a lot on the side. That's what I'm going to be doing as soon as I'm finished here. But I wanted to give you a quick look at this just so you could see and start to get some ideas of all the things that you can do with it. Sorry, like I said, sorry it's not a full build, don't have time for that, but if I do start to get some pieces in, this will be the case that I use for any ITX build in the near future if I'm doing one, because it's just too good not to use. And if some company comes and pays me $1 billion to recommend a different ITX, you know, case, and I'm like, this is the best thing ever, I'm lying, because this is like one of the best ITX cases I've ever seen. I want to put a system in here and just see how the airflow works, but I can't imagine there being many problems because there's so many different options for where you can put your fans, and there's so many different solutions that you can find with this case. So the only downside, it's whenever you get something that's like this size, it is almost micro ATX size. You know, it's like so close, and whenever it's that size, I'm like, you know, I really want to mod that thing and see if I can get a micro ATX in there, because you can just do more with a micro ATX, but there's only 2 PCI expansion slots in the back. So with something this big, it would be cool if they just went and made like a version that's maybe, you know, an inch or a few centimeters bigger and let us use micro ATX, because that's a motherboard that I don't think gets enough love. Everything's always micro or full size, and there's not a lot in the middle when I feel like it can kind of be a sweet spot a lot of times when it comes to features for what you're going to get and also the size. So that's my only real gripe, is that I wish there was a version of this that was a little bit bigger. But otherwise, I don't have much to complain about. We'll see if that changes when I do the build. I can't imagine that it will, because it's going to be so easy to build in. It's just wide open and you can move things wherever you see fit. Really nice job from Streacom. By the way, this comes in the black, but it also comes in a silver. If you want that look, go for it. Also on the front, you know, it looked really good on there. One of our high quality premium logos. Yes. Put one of those on there. You guys can grab one of the Burning Earth logos over at epicpants.com and grab yourself a shirt while you're over there, and one of these mice and a keyboard, whatever. Grab a whole bunch of cool stuff while you're over there at epicpants.com. Let me know what you think of this case. We'll see you guys in the comments. Of the 2.5, sorry, 3 and the 3 and 2.5, the 2 and the 2 and the 3.5, and it's 3 and a 3 and a 2.5, and the 2 and 2 of the 6 2.5, and the 2 and a 3.5, 6 2.5. Yes.